So, who comes to mind whenever you think of your favorite character from American Dad? Most people will probably say Stan Smith or Steve. But for me, personally, I'd have to choose Roger. Not just because of his ability to seemingly get out of any situation he finds himself in, he's also incredibly witty. Now, what you're looking at right here is the scene from American Dad in which he fakes his own death. And he does this by moving really fast. That's what he says. At least later on. So today we're going to calculate how fast he's actually going. The first thing that we need to do when analyzing the footage itself is find out how tall Roger is. Now, according to Google, he stands at a resounding 4 foot 3 inches. For my non-American viewers out there, that is approximately 1.29 meters. So first thing we need to do, because the footage is filmed at a resounding 30 frames per second, we just take a piece of the footage in which Roger is moving from one place to the next at the start of the 30 frames and at the end of the 30 frames. So really I know that I said that we need to actually determine how long it takes for him to get one position to the next. It really doesn't take 30 frames. Just to get from the starting position to the current position is done within a matter of 6 frames or 16 frames. So if he's able to get from here, so there is another factor that comes into consideration when you're trying to find out how fast someone is moving by analyzing footage. This other factor is the bus. Now, if we take the reasonable assumption that most bus drivers would not break the speed limit and go at an average of 30 to 35 miles per hour within populated urban areas, so the thing that we need to do next is find out how many feet a second that bus can travel if it's going 35 miles an hour, which comes out to 0.009 miles per second. So then we take the amount of feet that are in a mile. All right, so now we take that speed that we got before, 0.009 miles per second, and we just take the amount of feet in a mile, 5,280, and multiply it times 0.00972, which comes out to a resounding 51 feet per second, which seems a little fast if you ask me. So if you take that speed of 51 feet per second and then divide it by 30 because of how many frames are in a second, you'll find that in each frame, the bus is moving at about 1.5 feet per frame. So now we know how fast the bus is going, but the question is, how fast is Roger going? Just to get from here to here in less than 30 frames. Let's find out. So if we scale this sticker that I got right here to the exact height of Roger, which sits at about here, all things considered, because it really depends on his disguises that he's wearing. It could add a couple feet, a couple inches to his height, make him even look shorter. So we go ahead and turn it on its side at 0 degrees, set it down from his foot, and bam, there we go. We got 4 foot 3 inches right here. So you'll notice that when he gets from this frame to this frame, it's convenient because he goes almost one exact Roger height. That's the unit we're calling it, 1 Roger. He goes exactly 1 Roger in distance, 4 foot 3 inches, which I don't know if this was intentional by the people who animated the show or what, but that seems awfully convenient. Traveling from this to this. So we can easily say he is traveling about 4 feet within 16 frames, he travels 4 feet. Alright, so now we know that within 16 frames of footage, Roger moves 4.25 feet. Now, there is a really complicated question that we have to ask ourselves now. How slowed down is this footage that we're seeing? That will be kind of hard to determine, but we can find out. So we know by analyzing this footage that the bus from this frame to this frame goes about 3 to 4 inches. So we take that initial 0.25 of a foot, or 25% of a foot that bus can travel within 16 frames, and then you divide it by how many feet per second the bus can actually travel at, and that comes out to 0.004%, or not point, sorry. So the footage that we're seeing now is slowed down to about 0.4% of its real speed, which is kind of insane, the implications if you think about it. So we take that 100% and divide it by 0.4%. And you'll find that the footage is actually slowed down to 250 times of its original speed. So, yeah, we're gonna find out how fast Roger actually travels per second. So here is where simple 6th grade mathematics comes into play. We set up a proportion. I know, y'all love it, don't y'all? So you take the amount of times the footage is slowed down by, 250 times, multiply it by how many frames he's moving at, and how many feet he travels in those 16 frames, which comes out to a resounding 941 feet per second. So for all you curious folk out there, this is actually what it might look like sped up to normal speed. Insane, right? Now that makes me wonder, it really does make sense how he's able to change disguises so quickly and get from one place to another so fast. You never know where he is, where he's lurking, because he's always going to be faster than you. Our sexy boy Roger. Good job. You made it into one of my videos.